Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. Psychologist Judith Rich's research found that peers influence children more even than parents do. Certainly, friends can influence your child, and you can boost the chances of that influence being positive. Let's start with talking about prevention of problems. Obviously, modeling helps, especially as your child gets older. Your child's going to notice your friends and their behavior. That could affect who and how your kid befriends. Might that caring about how your child turns out help motivate you to choose a bit more wisely? Another preventive is to have what I call a preemptive discussion, discussing it in advance of a problem. Keep your conversation brief, respectful, and collaborative, and the risk-reward ratio is probably pretty good that you should have at least one chat. Of course, the nature of that chat's going to vary with the child and the circumstances, but here's a sample dialogue. The parent starts and says to the kid, "Would you mind sitting down a minute? There's something I wanted to discuss with you." "What did I do wrong?" "Nothing. I'm just giving you another of those mini lectures that a loving parent can't help but give." "I can't wait." I should have said that much more sarcastic. I can't wait. I guess I'm not a good enough actor. Anyway, the parent then says, "Friends may have as big an effect as parents do on how a child turns out. So, because you're starting a new school, I thought it couldn't hurt to remind you to try to make friends with kids who bring out the best in you, who make you proud of yourself. What do you think?" Yeah. That kid's bravura may well mask accord with your opinion. You're then thus having planted a seed. Now, there are some parents who have a kid who tends to be attracted to the wrong crowd, quote unquote. Well, here is a sample preemptive conversation with a child like that. The parent starts as, "I guess you know why I don't like Anthony." "No." "You're smart. Why?" "'Cause he dresses weird?" "That's only a symptom of the larger problem. Why do you think he worries me?" "'Cause you think I'll become a weed-smoking goof-off like him." "I won't. I like Anthony. He's funny and he's got guts." I have to say, Michael, that I would be worried if you spent much time with him and his look-alike, act-alike buddies. Are there any kids in your class or your school or your any after-school activity who you like, who maybe you think I'd like, and is a good influence on you? "I don't know. Well, there's got to be someone." "I guess David, maybe." "Well, I don't know him, but would you like him to come over and play with you after school on the weekend? Maybe a video game?" "He doesn't play video games." "Any idea what you and he might enjoy doing together?" "He's into his telescope. He's always talking about the stars and planets." "Maybe he could bring it over one evening and we could all try it." "I'll think about it." Again, seed planting. Potentially false bravura. Little to lose by having tried that. The next preventive that a parent can do is to put your child in what I call desirable friend-rich environments with a lot of desirable kids. Your child's going to be spending maybe half of waking hours around the kids at school and in after-school activities. Consider visiting those to get a feel for the kind of kids there, especially if you're first choosing one. For example, 2 soccer programs could vary in how kind and ethical the kids are. I've seen one in which if a kid makes a mistake, the other kids are supportive, and in another soccer team where they're downright cruel to the kid. And a final preventive of bad friendships or encourager of good friendships is to shepherd desirable kids into your child's life. As I mentioned, encourage your child to invite desirable kids to your home, and once there, make them feel welcome. That usually means just a quick, pleasant hello, maybe an offer of a snack, and then leaving the kids pretty much alone. After around the 2nd grade, most kids don't like to visit homes with hovering parents. Given that you've encouraged desirable kids, it's probably fine and safe if they're left alone, say in your child's room. But for reassurance, you might, at the first visit, encourage them to play or study where you can see them or at least hear them. And at some point, if you and your child still like this kid, you might invite the child for a sleepover or a family outing or so on. Now, what if there's a problem? Let's say you have a sense that a kid has no real friends. As usual, the first step might be to talk with your child. Here's a sample dialogue. Parent starts and says, "So, who's your best friend these days?" "I don't have any friends." "Do you want any?" "No one likes me." You think that's because you're shy? Annoying? Something else? I don't know. Well, take a moment to think. I still don't know. If, as in that conversation, no clue emerges, a next step might be a call to the teacher to ask if the teacher could provide some insight. And even if he or she does, you might want to observe your child at recess. If that's infeasible, ask your child if there's someone she'd like to invite to your home. And if not, you might invite the child of someone you know, a friend, a family member, whatever, to your home. Of course, once you've got a kid at your house, you've got an opportunity to observe, and unobtrusively is probably wise. I had a client whose child was disliked because he was a show-off. In class, he would blurt out answers without raising his hand. At recess, he would brag about his new toy or show off his basketball prowess. No surprise, the kids hated him. And because he was verbally aggressive but physically reticent, when the class bully socked him, he ran away, which made kids lose even more respect for him. Now, if you have a sense that your child has friends who, as my parents would say, are a bad influence, maybe there's something in the following sample dialogue that might help. And his parent starts again and says, "Do you think I like Johnny?" The child says, "Just because he wears goth clothes doesn't make him bad." That's true, but what's on the outside sometimes reflects what's on the inside. Do you think Johnny brings out the best in you? I don't know what you mean. I mean, I've seen you be hardworking and kind. Does being around him encourage you to be like that? I don't know. Again, it's unrealistic to expect an ideal answer like, "You're right, Mom, I'll never talk with him again." But planting a seed is worth the chat, and it doesn't engender the conflict that, "I don't want you being with him," would bring. Too often that would result in quiet or not so quiet rebellion sneaking off to be with Johnny. That said, as evidence that we humans are far less predictable than our electrons, when I had a friend who was a bad influence, this was when I was in college, the kid's name was Jeffrey, he spawned my gambling habit, and one day when he came to the door, my father said, "Get out and never come back!" Because my father was rarely that firm. That somehow made me decide to never see Jeffrey again, and my budding gambling addiction soon faded. Anyway, the next installments in this series of what I call doables continues to focus on the parent's role in talking to their kid about sex, then drugs, and finally in preparing your child for college or other post-high school options. In any event, I do thank you for watching this. I welcome your thumbs up, your thumbs down if needed, your comment, your sharing, hitting the share button there, sharing on social media, and or subscribing to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.